I've been a loyal Halo fan since day one, so I think I've earned the right to say this. For all the fun and good times Halo brings, there are a few things that I absolutely hate about this game. These are the 3 things I hate about Halo Infinite. Now, I know there are no perfect games. I realize that Halo 3 was the closest to perfection that Bungie ever got, and we all know things seemingly went slightly downhill when 343 took over, although I'm not really sure it's entirely their fault. No game is without its flaws, but the first thing on my list of 5 things I hate is the ineffective weapons. Okay, the BR, the battle rifle, is great. In fact, the main reason I initially hopped into the ranked playlist was so that I could use the battle rifle every time I spawned. The battle rifle is amazing, but that's the problem. Aside from the power weapons that are highly contested and on timers, there doesn't seem to be enough weapons to counteract the absolute devastation that the BR can rain down on opposing teams. Now, I'm sure there are some of you who will disagree. Maybe you prefer the Magnum or the assault rifle for some insane and impossible to understand reason, but that's the first thing I hate about ranked play in Halo Infinite. Let's move on to number 2. The number 2 thing I hate most about Halo Infinite's ranked playlist is the sprint function. Okay, hear me out. I think the addition of sprint functionality to Halo games has been helpful overall. Games are becoming much more fast-paced, and 343 realized that they needed to sprint to keep up. See what I did there? But the one thing that makes Halo ultra competitive, the secret sauce of Halo's competitive juice, is not speed or agility or movement. The one ingredient has always been accuracy. Halo is a true shooter game. Sure, we strafe and we jump around, but that's rarely ever done in an attempt to juke our opponents. We do those things to reduce the accuracy of our opponents. I've noticed that many players are now trying to incorporate the sprint feature into their engagements, and more power to them if it helps, but if that becomes the norm, we're only a few steps away from 343 dismantling the slightly slower pace that has been a key characteristic of Halo multiplayer since the beginning. Guys, we need to protect Halo from all the slide canceling, double wide tapping nonsense that we see in other games. Now, I know this whole conversation about sprints going to ruffle some feathers. I get it. I'm not saying it's game breaking. All I'm saying is that Halo would, in my opinion, be better off without it. The competitive maps, with one exception, are small enough that sprint is basically unnecessary. The problem with sprint, in my opinion, is that while movement has gotten slightly quicker overall, the respawn timer doesn't seem to be in sync with the pace of the game. Maybe I'm the only one who feels that way. Maybe I'm wrong about the first and second thing that I hate about Halo Infinite, but I'm fairly certain that we can all agree on the third and final thing I absolutely hate about this game. The third thing I hate about Halo Infinite ranked gameplay is the lack of communication. I know that everyone doesn't share my passion for competitive gaming. Not everyone grew up wanting to be an MLG pro. I get that, but there is no good reason for people to not have mics plugged in to communicate with their team. I'm not sure what happened, but Halo players are just different these days. I remember the good old days when it wasn't weird to hop on the mic and make call-outs, even in strictly social playlists.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
Now you're lucky to find one teammate with a mic every 5 to 10 rounds.
Where are you going, North Texas? The flag's right there on the right.
Maybe I'm just unlucky. Are y'all having the same experience? Halo's all about teamwork. There are some incredible slayers out there that can easily outshoot 9 out of every 10 players in a BR duel. Trust me, I like to think that I'm one of them. But when I play teams that are clearly communicating, I don't stand a chance. And it's not because I'm not as skilled as the players on the other team. It's simply because the other team is making callouts and team shooting. I don't care how good you are. If you're forced to fight 2 decent players at once, you're not going to win many of those engagements. The best Halo teams have a mixture of skill and strategy, and while many of my teammates are skilled, our strategies are non-existent because they won't open their mouths and provide intel. Well, that's my rant, and though I hate all the ineffective weapons, unnecessary sprinting, and lack of communication, I'm willing to overlook all of those things because I'm honestly enjoying Halo Infinite. I think the game is great and has great potential. Now, don't run off too quickly. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Do you agree or disagree with my list? What are the 3 things you hate the most about the game? I want to hear from you. And as always, if you enjoy this content, make sure you smash that subscribe button like a Spartan, and we'll see you next time.